Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. It's Friday. Jeffrey the Greek's with us. And make sure you check out Eyes on Big Ten podcast that he has. And also, John, the producers. When's yours come out? Every Tuesday, John?
You know, we were originally on Mondays, then Tuesdays, and right now it's just whenever the hell me and Dustin are available. So, it was Wednesday this week.
You got to kind of find a spot, man.
So that was the plan. That was the plan. And then you had Monday evening quarterback with Mitchell Page, and we had to move to Tuesday.
Well, all right. Well, we'll get that. When's the Eyes on Big?
We record pretty much every Wednesday evening and Sunday afternoon. So usually Wednesday night is when we release the pod, and it's Eyes on Big B1G. So it's usually dropped Wednesday evening, maybe Thursday sometimes. And then usually the post view, recapping the games is on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening.
Make sure you catch that, guys. Hey, and that Purdue-Ohio State game we were talking about, does the Buckeyes cover that 21-point spread against Purdue?
I don't think so. This is my Amador double barrel lock of the week is Purdue plus the 21 points. Again, I believe Ohio State is great, but not yet elite. I think Purdue is very good. And to me, that's just too big of a spread for two teams that I believe bring a lot of talent to the table.
I agree, man. Why I was looking at that. So yeah, that's a game I'm going to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah.
So we got get this one out of the way. It's Maryland at 5-4, looking to become bowl eligible.
Yeah.
But they're at a Michigan State team who's not as good as they've been made out to be, in my opinion. But they're at home.
Yeah, because what do we got right there? We got a
13
point spread.
13-point spread. I'm like, there's always the upsets. I just don't see it. I think Mel Tucker knows that a lot of people are looking at him right now. So I think he's got to keep that team focused. And I think they win that game. I don't know if they cover the spread or not, but.
Yeah, so there's tons of trends here to look at. This one,
61 points.
Yeah,
that's a lot of points for that game, though.
That's a lot of points. I would err towards the over. Neither defense has been exactly up to playing defense the last couple of weeks. So neither defense is trending in the right direction. So I would lean towards the over, but I would keep an eye on the weather in East Lansing. Maryland has been better than I thought they would be this year, yet when they've played good teams, they have largely melted down. So basically you would have to ask yourself, just how good is Michigan State? I think for the most part, when Maryland has melted down, it's because they've gone against teams that have just beaten them up front along the lines. I'm not sure if Michigan State's going to do that in this game. I just think there's going to be a lot of points from both teams. I've got Michigan State 33, Maryland 30. So that's a 10-point cover for Maryland. I liked the points in this game. And then, Michigan State coming off of the big loss to Purdue. Is it kind of a letdown, or is it kind of a exhale and release? I think we'll know pretty quick in that game. I just don't trust locks in a big moment like this, but I trust that he can put up enough points on the board to keep up with Michigan State.
It's a lot of points for those two teams, man. That one scares me. Let's see. Who have I left out?
We're going to talk Indiana.
I'm going to go ahead and jump to Indiana now, and now I'll go ahead and jump. The biggest game on the Big Ten schedule to me this weekend, number 6 Michigan travels to Happy Valley to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Michigan 6-1. Their only loss to their rival Michigan State. Penn State, a disappointing, limping to a 6-3. I thought that they were better than that. And they're an underdog at home by 1.5.
Is it switched? Okay.
Well, on the what I'm looking at.
Okay.
I guess I should probably get on a gambling site, which I am not on. Looking
well,
at
that's where it started, and then pretty quickly it was a pick 'em at one point. So
well, and it basically is when you get down to a point
right
either way. That just tells me that.
No, you're right. Yeah, it's
nudging.
It switched to 1.5 Michigan.
Jim, he's got them looking good. I mean, other than that big old hiccup in that Michigan State game, they've been looking pretty solid. Penn State is just kind of fallen. I think the Wolverines are good here.
Yeah, it is a tough one. I mean, obviously, when it came out of Pick'em, I kind of laughed because that's probably what it deserves to be. It is tough to pinpoint this game. Another reason to call it close. James Franklin versus Khaki Pants. This is in six meetings. They're 3-3 against each other. So just another thing to look at. You can't really pick out a coaching advantage on either side. I think they both have very good defenses. Michigan's offense more dominant on the rushing attack. Penn State has, become this odd version of Penn State where they're almost completely a passing attack team. So very intriguing matchup. I put a Twitter poll out, what should be the game of the week? Iowa, Minnesota, Ohio State, Purdue, or this game. I was shocked to find out this game finished third place because this very well might be the best game of the weekend in the Big Ten.
I agree. I think it will be. I'm trying to find if that changed any place else. Yep, even on this site, that's a 1.5 game. Over and under is at 48.5.
Right on it.
Yeah. So which way is that going?
I don't like the total either way. I would stay away from that, but I guess if you put a gun to my head, I would probably take the over in that game, but would feel a little bit better about taking Michigan, mostly because it's just crazy. But like Penn State can't run the ball. It's nuts. And I just feel like when you get against a really quality opponent, having half of your offense not available, it's tough, and so to me, that's enough for me to swing to Michigan. And maybe some people would say, well, isn't that Michigan? Michigan can only run the ball. I think their passing attack is a little bit better than what a lot of people are giving it credit for. Cade McNamara certainly started out the year very low attempts, very low success rate, but he has just kind of improved as the season's gone on. Michigan receivers have stepped up as the season has gone on. Blew it, in the second half versus Michigan State. But other than that, this has been a good football team that's gotten better almost every week.
I'd take Michigan on the money line, personally.
Sure.
And that's what I will do. Indiana hosting Rutgers, the biggest game of the Big Ten schedule, baby. A 4-5 Rutgers team comes into a 2-7 Indiana Hoosiers squad. Indiana, a 7-point favorite in that game. I think that they'll win the game by more than that, actually. The over and under is at 42, so won't be probably a lot more than that. But I think Indiana finds enough offense. But I think more importantly, their defense, they had a little lull, and then they've been bouncing back, and I think they smell blood in the water. Yeah. And I think they just go after Rutgers. Micah McFadden, who looked like a freaking beast in that Michigan game. I've talked about it so many times, but that one highlight where he comes up the middle, blows up two different linemen through the middle and gets the sack. It's one of the best defensive plays I've seen all year, man. It was just awesome. And I think that they continue that defensive attack. I think they need it mentally to try to salvage something from this season. You've got a Minnesota team coming in next week. Their two best shots at wins of the year are coming up these next 2 weeks. They haven't beaten a Power 5 team yet, and I think they get that done this week. I think they cover that spread, but more importantly, they win the game.
Yeah, real quick, Micah McFadden, fantastic. Good luck trying to get first team All Big Ten linebacker this year. Somebody's going to get sent to the second, even third team, and we'll see where McFadden lands. But I tell you what, I might not get invited back on for a segment because we got a different read on this game than I have a different read in this game than you do. I believe in Greg Schiano. I believe he gets his guys ready to go in these types of games. They're still fighting for a bowl, like they've got a little bit more to play for than Indiana. I understand they're on the road. And when that line came out, I thought it would be closer to 3 or 4 Indiana. When it came out 7 and it really hasn't budged, that scared me. I'll be honest with you. I don't see a lot of points in this game. Rutgers defense can bow up when it's not playing a dynamic offense and play some pretty good defense. So I think Rutgers defense will travel pretty good here. I don't see a lot of points in this game, but I don't know what there's a lot to feel confident on right now with Indiana's defense or offense. Like, I just don't know what to point to that is consistently good or bad, to be honest with you. Whereas with Rutgers, I feel like I can trust parts of their defense a little bit more. But Micah McFadden will have a big day because Rutgers is pretty challenged on offense.
So do you think Rutgers wins this game?
Yeah, I've got Rutgers winning. Give me a second here. I've got Rutgers winning 20-17. So that's an under. So I'm picking not just the Rutgers cover, but the outright upset. We'll see. You can have me on next week and roast me. I hope for your listeners' sake that's the case.
Hey, Jeff, let me ask you, what about the prospect of
I wouldn't bet that game to
Noah
save my
Vedral
life now.
What about the prospect of Noah Vedral potentially not playing?
I mean, they've been rotating 4 quarterbacks the past 3 weeks.
Wow, okay.
We saw Jeff Brom's three quarterback rotation in the Iowa game. He says, you know what? I'm going to do one better on you. So they've got their true freshman quarterback, 4-star recruit that the thought process is they just want to play him in those 4 games to hold on to his red shirt. He might play. They've got quarterbacks. They've got different formations. They're going to throw everything they can at Indiana because, again, Schiano getting to a bowl, that's huge for recruiting in the DMV area. And I just see Schiano fighting.
Hey, they have to do it. That's what the Big Ten's about. All right, so you gave your lock, your super, what do you call it for the Purdue?
Well, shout out to our sponsor, Amador. If anybody is a bourbon fan, Amador Double Barrel Whiskey is fantastic. So that's our sponsor. So we do a double barrel lock of the week. So mine is Purdue plus the points. I also like the under N Rutgers in this game. That's another one I like. And if I had to give another one, I would probably err towards Wisconsin covering versus Northwestern.
There you go for that. Now, games outside of the Big Ten, do you have anything?
Not much.
I didn't know if you looked at those other games, or you focused mainly on the Big Ten.
Yeah, I'll start. I'm actually taking a trip down to Iowa here in a couple hours to go to the game. So I'll be listening in on a couple podcasts that I like to clue in, and then eventually speaking to my special friend and find a couple others that I like.
Great environment, man. I was fortunate to go down there earlier in the season to Iowa City. Great environment. I'm sure it'll be a fun weekend out there, and a big time game. Hey, that's part of it, man. But they don't care. They'll be there, but it's a big time game. Let's see. Are there any other big time games? I haven't even looked at the schedule. I mean, I know that there are. All you got to do is look at the SEC and see what's going on there in their league this week.
Texas the highest 0 ranked team, 1 loss team, or 0 loss team, 1 loss team, 2 loss team, and 3 loss team. Like we joked on the pod, heck, why don't they just throw a 4 loss team from the SEC in the college football rankings to have that in there too?
Hey, speaking of that, with the Michigan State controversy, what's your take on that with the CFP rankings?
Yeah, so obviously we're talking about Michigan losing outright to Michigan State, but being ahead of them in the college football polls. I I hear the reasons behind it. I also understand as the season goes on, it's going to kind of work itself out. I get it, but by the way, shout out to my podcast partner, Big Kurt, B1G, KURT.
Oh, yeah.
He's awesome too, and he joked on the podcast. He goes, "So yeah, if the winners of these games doesn't matter, let's just speculate it out. Let's start tearing down the stadiums. We don't need to put these games on TV, right? Let's just get away from all of it, right? What are we doing any of this for?" And it, like, the college football playoff committee, I understand they want to try to pick 4 best teams, but at some point optics have got to matter. And when 2 teams that just played 2 weeks ago and one team beat the other team, what are you doing here? Just flip them one, put the team that just won a couple weeks ago up there. If that team loses another game along the way, you can knock them down anyways. Like they beat them on the field. Let's at least have factor that in big time and play to the fans here a little bit.
One thing, we about out of time. I got like a minute, but we've seen Nebraska and other teams fire coaches, a lot of coaches. And I've said, like, Indiana is a team that won't do that, although I think changes are coming at the end of the season without question. If they were to lose to Rutgers, I still don't know. I still don't think anything would happen in season, but that would be, not that the season has already not been devastatingly bad because of what was expected. A loss to Rutgers may send that to a different place, a darker place. So this is a game that Indiana just has to find a way to win, in my perspective. I think they have to do that.
And that's why I would just play younger players. Tom Allen's not going anyway. That staff might have changes, but Tom Allen gets to come back. So to me, this is all about 2022 at this point.